Hello, uglies, and welcome to a special recap of Dragula Season 4 here on Reality TV RHAP Ups. I'm your host, Beth Dixon, and I am so excited to discuss everything Dragula Season 4 from the finale to all of our favorite moments, drama, looks, and exterminations from this past season. Of course, it'd be pretty boring if I did it by myself, so I have a wonderful panel here to help me break it all down tonight. So we're going to get right into this. The first panelist that we have is Aman Adwin, who is doing drag double duty with me. We recapped, or not really recapped, we pre-capped Drag Race Season 14 yesterday, and now we're switching gears to Dragula. But Aman, how are you doing tonight, and are you excited?
I am excited. This was quite the journey. This was quite the journey, and I'm glad to be able to have a moment to decompress about this crazy show that I'm glad is now in my arsenal. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about everything.
Yeah, it's definitely, this was your first full season of Dragula, right? That you had watched?
Yes,
Okay.
first full season. I had been exposed to the show a couple of years back, as I said before, with one of my roommates, but I lost I fell off. But this was the
Gotcha.
first time that I would sat down and watched everything, and it was a lot to watch.
There was definitely just a few moments that
Yeah,
happened.
just a few, nothing too crazy.
But of course, we're also super excited to welcome back our special guest, a drag and transformation artist extraordinaire, our expert on the panel, Jeremy Carey. Jeremy, how are you doing tonight? And thank you so much for joining us again.
I'm good. I love this season. I was excited. I'm excited that Aman is exposed to Dragula now. So
Are
um
slowly but surely taking
yeah.
over.
No. But yeah, no, it was good to watch. It was fun to this was a good cast. It was really, really good. Yeah, and diverse, which is really great to see.
It really was. Were
Mhm.
there moments for you that you felt like there were times where you were like, "Oh, this is what Dragula should be like," or "This is what a cast that represents drag or transformation artists should
I'm
be like"?
I mean, that's hard to say with Dragula already because every year Dragula is so diverse.
Mhm.
So
Accurate.
but Dragula as a franchise, period. It's just they've always tried to tap into like every kind of representation on the cast, and they intentionally do that. And like when the
Mhm.
Boulet brothers do that, they go through all the applications and they're like, no, we want to see this on TV. What do we not have seen on TV? Like what is not being represented? And I think that's really cool because they're using their voice and their power that they have and their fame, their platform and everything to shine light on other people and other communities. So yeah.
And I also like that we had some pretty honest conversations, not only with just the contestants, which so often happens on other shows, but also with the judges talking about representing different marginalized identities and how,
Hmm. Hmm.
specifically the Boulets talking about Saint and how Saint must be carrying the weight of being a queer Black artist in an alternative drag form. And I really liked seeing that the judges are being very open about, this is something that we have to keep in mind. This is something that Saint must be on Saint's mind. And how do we
Hmm.
judge this and also provide critiques that are going to, expand Saint's ability to perform on the floor shows or their repertoire. So I just love this show so much.
Yeah, I feel like this show felt a lot more progressive around that conversation, more so than some of the other ones that like I also cover. Because I mean, we know that in the world of like CBS with like Big Brother and Survivor and all of these new casting mandates that some television networks are employing, not only in reality television but also in scripted series with the 50% BIPOC and stuff like that. Sometimes the conversations can feel very stilted, very like on the nose, very like, all right, here's the diversity hour. This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how the blacks and the white people, like it's very not, it doesn't really feel like it's going anywhere. But I feel like
Mhm.
shows like this that are a bit more on the fringe really service themselves in pushing the needle, because not only are they having the conversation about, yeah, we are queer artists creating queer spaces for people of all gender identities and all races and all of that. Not only are we doing that, but we're also talking about just how much that does affect them while they're doing it. And I think that ultimately the perfect world that we want is for that thing not to really matter. And I feel like this show actually pushes more towards that ultimate reality, as opposed to just having like the little canned conversations about, you know, random diversity trainings, you know. So I just
Yeah.
it felt very, it didn't feel inorganic to me. It felt like they were very intentional with everything that they did, and it felt good. It felt really nice to watch and cathartic. And I love that moment, not to jump too much ahead, but I love that moment between Bob the drag queen and Saint, when Bob was like, look, like, this wasn't a good week for you, and I feel bad saying this because, you know, as a black gay queer to black gay queer, like, it sucks, but like at the same time, if there's anybody that has to be able to tell you when you fuck up, it has to be me. So I felt like that's sort of like the moments that push the needle for me, is like those raw conversations, those honest conversations that happen in the open. So yeah,
I just think that
I agree.
it's yes, it's entertaining to have those moments, but it also just, that is more watchable to me than somebody trying to be performative on a judges panel, or like, pardon me, but like Jeff Probst being like, yes, white person, what are your thoughts on, you know, Black
Yeah, it
Lives
just
Matter?
feels,
You know what I mean? And you're like, what the hell? Just like, why are we talking to the white people about Black Lives Matter? Like, those kind of moments. So it's just really, it's great to have a show that, first of all, didn't need a diversity quota, has just been doing it anyway, and pushing the needle, like Jeremy said, and moving forward. So let's kind of jump a little bit ahead. So why don't we start with the finale, and then we can kind of go back to the rest of the season. We have the ultimate finale. So we have season 4, final 4, so many fours going around. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this final 4 of Dolly, HoSo Teratoma, Saint, and Sigourney Beaver?
So I love Sigourney. I was a fan of her throughout the entire thing. But it was giving, I do have to agree a lot with what people were saying, where it was like, it was kind of the same silhouette every time. It was the same look every time, the same hair, just different colors, different prints, different patterns. Not to say it was bad. It was great. She always looked freaking amazing. It was just like, all right, what else do you have? And all I was getting was flashbacks of like Bianca Del Rio wearing the same dress every time. You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? It works. I mean, it has worked. People have won. But we've seen it. So then I was kind of like, I wonder. And then when you have people that are switching it up every time, and I never knew I was going to get with Saint. I just knew they were going to look stunning and amazing and wonderful. So I was really torn between Sigourney being there and HoSo being in the top. Dolly and Saint, I wanted in the top. I thought they deserved it. They were great. And it was really cool seeing Dolly. Granted, it's reality TV, so like we don't really get to focus on a lot of the contestants until after they leave. But I really feel like we genuinely got to see the transformation of Dali on there and open up. So that was really, really cool to see. But I mean, how different types, like 3 different, really different types of drag, 3 different backgrounds completely. That was really cool to see. But and then for them to flip it and then tell HoSo in last minute that, you know, they're going to be in the top 4. I thought that was really, really cool. Yeah.
I was like a little gagged. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, HoSo was like my winner pick in the beginning of the season, and HoSo's not going to be, oh no, HoSo's making it. Okay.
Yeah.
I got gooped.
But I genuinely thought, it was going to be HoSo, Saint, and Dali.
I was surprised about that part too. I thought that I was fully prepared to watch somebody's dreams get crushed in front of like all the returning queens too. I was ready for it, but I think that it's a very strong top 4. I think all of them have like a uniqueness to them. I mean, just oh my god, HoSo's I almost forgot her name for a second. Her just attention to detail throughout the competition it's just been really, really inspiring. I'm always like really inspired by extremely visual people, and I think all of them are in their own right. And they just all, you know, they all like really taught me. This entire season really just taught me more about the boundaries of drag and what it really can be and how far you can go as long as you have the balls to do it. So I think that the 4 of them, or the ovaries, yes. No. So I enjoyed this top 4.
Yeah,
and they all fought to get. Well, some of them fought more than others, but it was a hard slog to get there for some of them. So it was kind of like, you know, it was a little cathartic to see them actually get what they wanted after some fighting.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with both of you. I thought it was really interesting. I agreed with that Sigourney kind of had a similar silhouette all the time. But I also felt like Saint had a similar performance every single time. Regardless of whatever Saint was wearing, they tended to just have like a similar kind of just like very ethereal, and they kept getting the same critique all season. So I was really worried Saint wasn't going to make it, even though I was rooting for them. But woo, I'm happy they did. And I was really happy that they did a Final Four, because I felt like all four of them deserved it, and they were really, really strong. But that said, why don't we break down the looks? We'll just kind of go through them kind of quickly. We have the glamour looks, the horror looks, and the filth looks to go through for each queen. So let me bring this up here. So if you are not watching the YouTube video and listening to us on your podcast, feel free to check us out on YouTube so you can see the visual aspect of what we're talking about. So right here, I actually started off with Saint for the glamour look, which I would love to hear Amon's thoughts on this, because I'm seeing Amon smiling right already. So.
Maybe not one of her strongest.
I couldn't determine what that smile was. At first, I was like, "Oh, did you love it? Are you
my
concerned?"
smile is so misleading. No, I mean, no, it's fine. I don't know if it's giving enough glam horror for me. It just feels a little. It's just not giving finale for me. But she looks great. You know, certainly something more than I could ever do. But it's fine.
Yeah, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this look? For me, it felt a little like simplistic, but not in an effective way.
Well, so Saint, it said it before, 3 times already that they've been on this show. It's the same setup almost every time. Silhouette, bam. So before they see you. The problem is that this didn't do anything for her silhouette, so that was weird. And then, but when we saw the silhouette, the first thing I thought was like, oh, it's gonna be like a glamour bat or something, which would have been like really epic. Or like this opens up and it's a spider or something. I don't know, something. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what this looks like, because Saint is always just on point. And then the lights turned on. And then they don't look bad. They don't look bad by any means. It was just like oh, okay. I just expected more because of Saint. I also didn't know. I hate when people compare. I hate it, but you're in the top 4 and you got to be compared on this. So I'm assuming, because the red's going up to their face like blood, that this is supposed to kind of represent blood on their neck and then on their hands, on their things, and wrist.
Then the one eye.
But then I was thinking, so later on, Sigourney also does a blood splatter on Sequin, and the way it's done with like the individual sequins, it just looks like a blood splatter more than just like they took a diamond panel. So but you know what my favorite part about this whole look is? The hair.
Yes, I was just gonna say the hair is my absolute
the hair is fun.
It's cool. It's different. I mean, she looks great. I just expected more, because Saint always just gives looks.
Yeah, I think that the thing with Saint is that you can always look at a concept and go, I get what they're going for. And this, I don't know what they're going for. And that's what makes it so difficult to be like, oh, it's such a strong look. If I had a little bit more sense of what the concept was, I think I'd like it more.
Yeah, I feel like the story just ends too quickly with this look.
That's true. All right, so why don't we move to Sigourney, because you just mentioned Sigourney. So Sigourney was the glamour queen all season, and like every look was glamour, and then comes out for the glamour look, and I have to say I was a little underwhelmed for a glamour look from the glamour queen. Not saying that she doesn't look glamorous and beautiful. I just wanted something more. Like, this is kind of like less glamorous than some of her looks that I think of from the seasons. What are your thoughts, Jeremy? I see you kind of nodding along.
Well, so this is the dress I was talking about that had the splatter. It's cut out on this GIF, but there's a splatter on it that looked. Whoever did this dress, I don't know if they did it or not, but the sequin, it looked great. It was a great detail. However, I will say, this hair, I think, is fantastic on her. It's beautiful. It's probably one of the best hair, like, wigs that she's worn. Like, the style is just great. But when you're known as the first ever glamour queen on Dragula, and then you do this, I think there was way other glamorous looks that they've worn on here. I think some people mistake sparkly for being glamour, and that's not always the case. But like, and this kind of goes later on down the road with her gore stuff, but like if you're Glamour, I would have had like diamonds coming out. I would have been the fucking rhinestone. You know what I mean? I would have
Ooh,
been like Emma Frost up in that bitch, and I would have just walked out. And she has no problem showing her body. I would have walked out just like completely bejeweled and dazzled. Then if you're gonna go sparkly route like this, so again, she doesn't look bad. It's just like when you're known for being Glamour, I expect you to outdo everybody,
especially when it's like the ultimate glamour category.
Yeah.
Amon, what are your thoughts on this outfit and or from head to toe? What are your thoughts?
I do like the color palette. I do like that's sort of. I think it looks great against her skin, especially meshing in with those tattoos. But I sort of struggle with like how glamorous you can be with Dragula. I mean, this is my first time watching this. This is like my first foray into like this sort of like brand of drag, and so my like barometer for how glamorous you can be in a competition like this is sort of like I don't really know. So I think obviously to me, like I think Glamour, and then my brain automatically goes towards that other show and what those queens are doing. But this is clearly not that show. So I'm like, well, she looks good. It's certainly a nice silhouette. The hair is great. The nails are wonderful. And so I'm like, did she do the assignment? Maybe, but I don't know. So yeah, I think it looks fine, but maybe it doesn't scream Glamour to me, but maybe it's okay if it doesn't in this competition. You see what I'm getting at? Like I'm sort of like I don't really know where.
I mean,
I feel like I need more experience.
if we're being honest, she did it to herself.
100%.
Right? Because she set the bar so high for herself. So it is glam. It's just it's just
I really
glam.
feel like she and Saint in the same category
They
had the
did it
same issue.
themselves. Yeah.
Which is they set the bar so high and then failed to meet it at like the last hurdle. It's like they saved the tallest hurdle for last, and
Mhm.
when they ran out of gas, decided let me try to jump this and
Mhm.
still finish the race.
And you know what?
Um,
Like being from this situation, I don't know how it works on Dragula, but at least on Drag Race, we had a sheet. Y'all know this. We got a sheet of all the things that we need to bring and all the looks. And you normally go in order when you're doing that stuff. It's just easier to get it done. And their top 4 looks. Maybe this is like the last on the list, and they're like, okay, what do we have to do? And like you're so creatively just burnt out because you have to do this stuff in like a few weeks, and you're just like, you know what, this dress looks great. I'll just go classic goth Barbie or something. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know, but again, she doesn't look bad. It's just
No, she doesn't look bad at
Yeah.
all. But the point is that she's looked more glamorous in other challenges, and that's the
Right.
disappointing thing.
I will say something
Oh,
that
please
bothers
do.
me.
Please do, please.
She had a black panty.
Okay, I wondered from the GIF. I kept forgetting if I was like, is this just a weird shadow from the GIF, or was she wearing a black panty?
No, it's a black panty. I don't know how much time they have in between their changes, but it's like one of my biggest pet peeves when I could see I'm like twitching. It's it's one of my biggest pet peeves when I see people on stage. That's why I always like tell people like invest in like nudes or you can do like I always tell somebody if you can always get like a sparkly panty or something, so if it does show it looks intentional and not like your underwear showed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Well, if she's also kind of supposed to be, I'm sorry, I'm going to go there because it's Dragula. If you're supposed to be giving a little bit of blood in the sequin area, like honestly, as an AFAB queen, why not do a little like bejeweled blood on the panty? Like,
what if it
make period glamorous? Like,
what if it
why
dripped
not?
down her leg and rhinestones?
Yes, exactly. Like, I think that would be so amazing.
And they would love that. They would eat that shit up.
Well, because absolutely. Think about like how Manila couldn't do like the pad.
I was about to say that, yeah.
And like but like this is a show where you could do that,
And it was so much about women that it was like
oh, it would
be
so good.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah.
All right, let us move on to Dali. So Dali, androgynous, looking non-binary, because Dali is non-binary for those who don't know, and I believe uses they them pronouns out of drag, and I'm not sure in drag, so I'm just going to refer to them as they them. But I loved this look so much. Amon, what were your thoughts on Dali's glamour look?
Wasn't glam enough for me. I wanted something more. It felt a little I don't know. I feel like I've seen that before.
Okay.
So I don't know, it wasn't popping enough for me. And I know that Jeremy just said that glamour doesn't always need to be glitz and glam and sparkles. But I think it needs a little some. It needs a little zhuzh somewhere. And I feel like this is not I liked a lot of her other looks, a lot of her other final looks.
Yeah.
More so than this one.
Jeremy, what are your thoughts? What do you think about Dolly's glamour look?
So I do agree. We have seen this makeup already on
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
So okay, that I do agree with. However, the only thing that bothered me with this is because you don't need, like I said, you don't need all this sparkly because there is so much sparkle up here. It's so heavy jeweled, big clunky pieces. What bothers me the most is that there's these gold chains on it. And I'm
Mhm.
assuming it's like this Matador inspired look, you know, the Spanish inspired look. However, the gold throws it off so much. I would have liked to have that black jewel or maybe that black lace continue down to the bottom and then bejewel that lace. I think that would have been fine. I think it's just too much of a matte finish on the bottom with them
Mhm.
gold. It looks like an afterthought with those gold.
See, now that you said Matador, I get that. What I was getting was like genderfuck ringmaster kind of person in a circus, and so I thought of like the gold as almost being like the curtain that would come up, like,
Maybe it
and
is. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
no, I
Or
mean,
maybe it's
I
a
feel like
collaboration
that
of
now.
both. Maybe it's a
Ooh.
yeah.
You know, but I think that this is, what I love about this look though is that we so often equate glamour with, like, you think of things like glam rock, right? Or you think of things that are like more feminine in nature that make things that are more masculine and make them feminine, or we think of just super heightened femininity. And like, while a lot of queens and artists in the show would go hyper femininity, I love that we get this return to taking something that, if it's a ringmaster or a matador or whatever, that is more inherently quote unquote masculine. I love this idea, like the concept for the look. And I would say that out of the 3 looks we've seen so far, this to me was the first time I was like, I'm getting a concept out of this. I didn't get a concept from Saint. I just got generic Sigourney being glamorous, but not necessarily a concept out of that one. So I think this one is more concept heavy, but maybe not execution heavy. Is that safe to say from what you guys are thinking too?
I can agree with that assessment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I actually thought Jeremy was frozen for a second because you were just like absolutely still, and I was like, "Oh, is Jeremy not here anymore?"
I was trying to think of like what to say, and I really am trying to figure out like now, like, is it a circus ring? And what's making me feel like a circus is because the lights and everything, but the jacket is so Matador. But then there's a top hat, and then I don't know. It is a collab. I don't know. Did they say what the story is behind this?
I'm gonna be honest. I watched this 2 weeks ago, and I did not have an opportunity to
can't
rewatch.
remember
I can't
either.
remember.
I remember the blood for HIV. He was
Yep.
talking about the red, and so I remember that. And
Mhm.
I think they said something about the color of the pill that they take.
Right.
Is red? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
It's something along those lines. So I did think that was like very beautiful, but I was trying to figure out how that would tie into the outfit, and I'm probably doing a disservice to them right now because I don't remember what it was. But yeah, I love like this up. I think
Yeah.
Dolly looks great.
Absolutely. Wonderful. And so our last glamour look is HoSo Teratoma. I loved this look. This was my favorite of the glamour looks. I think what Aman said earlier tonight is something I very much agree with, which is I think that HoSo, more so than any of the other queens, has really opened my eyes to more ideas and quote unquote like pushing the boundaries. I don't even think that there are boundaries technically with like drag. I think like that's the nice thing about it. But what I loved is that I'm not somebody who is super well acquainted with a lot of Asian influences, and so this really was wonderful to have them on the show. I really appreciated their look so much, and this one I think was my favorite glamour for sure. I love this hat. I love the pipe. I love the layers, the colors. They all seem to go together. I got a concept. I thought the execution was great. But Jerry, what are your thoughts on HoSo's look here?
Well, as a Gaysian, so this is exactly what I mean. You don't need to be sparkly to be glamour. And one of my favorite things about HoSo is that they educated so many people on Asian culture.
Mhm.
As someone that is Asian, I get so sick of seeing people that are non-Asian. I don't care what your background is, in kimonos and all this stuff dancing on stage. Like, I just think it's like you don't know the history of it or anything like it. And some people are not respected. Like, if they're doing it in a respectful way, awesome, cool. Like,
Right.
great. But so many people do it in a disrespectful way. And so to see them come out there just looking stunning and beautiful in this, that was really great. And the way that they move, it's like I felt like I was like ported into like this Asian world and like in times past, and like the way that they carried themselves and just really dainty and soft, and it was just great. And their makeup. The Brule brothers made a comment about like this is like the softest they've seen them paint, which is cool because like we didn't get to see this side of them. Also, I always find it fascinating how makeup that like we traditionally don't see as being like soft. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we look at HoSo right here. We're like, oh, it's so beautiful and
It's so
soft.
soft.
And the eyebrows are like up to like their the forehead. But like it's just it's
Their
incredible.
eyelid is like, the size of like half their face, but
Yeah,
still.
I love it.
Aman, what are your thoughts on HoSo's look here?
No, yeah, I agree with both of you. I think that the silhouette is interesting. I think that it's dynamic. I think that she knew how to perform with this on, and a lot of them were pretty great. Maybe specifically Dolly were pretty great with how the stage presence alongside just the garment itself. Yeah, no, I agree. I think she looks wonderful here, or they look wonderful here, and yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. So then right after the glamour looks come the horror looks. So we're starting off with Dali's horror look here.
I loved this one.
Go in,
I was
Aman.
haunted by this one. It went from demented Pope to like this crazy emaciated mummy, and the way they're sucking in their tummy like that and contorting their body. This was probably my favorite one of the entire night. Like, I love this so much. I like want to be this for Halloween now.
I have to say, if I came across, Dolly's look here in a haunted house, I would cry and wet my pants.
Yeah.
Jeremy, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree. Literally everything. This is my favorite look, probably of the season.
Mhm.
It's so minimal as far as like what they're wearing, but it told the biggest story. The acting is just like over the top. When they said this is the show, like this was the show. Like I genuinely, when I saw them come on stage, I felt a certain way because I was like, oh my god, like that's actually terrifying. Yeah, because it was so good. I haven't seen anybody in character like this the entire season. This straight up looks like it came out of a movie, and it straight up looks like it's gonna be like a new Dead by Daylight killer. Like it just,
I
it's
thought the
so
same
good.
thing, Jeremy. I was sitting here and I was like, when do I get to play as Dolly? And when is it gonna be the priest?
Yeah, the priest. It was just, it's so fucking beautiful. And like this kind of goes back to what we were talking about. Like Aman said, and I agreed that, but the makeup we've seen on the last one. And a lot of Dolly's makeup is kind of similar. They all have their signature look, but this is like the first time that Dolly transformed. That when they came out, I was like, wait, who is this? Because I didn't recognize, but so fun. Like this is an artist to me, and I'm just like, this excites me. This makes me want to put on makeup and do things and just be creative.
I totally agree with both of you. This was, I think, probably my favorite horror look of any finale. I loved this so much. I love the commentary on religion, and I also love just, I'm a huge fan of the mummy movies, and you know how like he had like the priest like mummies that he would like, this is like giving me that. And I was like, yes. I was so scared when I was like in middle school watching the mummy, and I would be like, oh my god, not the priest mummies. And now I'm like, yeah, you're the priest mummy, Dolly. Yeah. So this was just fantastic all around. And I have to say, one of my favorite things about Dolly as an artist is I think Dolly consistently gives really creepy floor shows. Like performance wise, I think is my favorite performer of the season. Parallel, I would probably say maybe just slightly below Dolly is HoSo, because HoSo also gives really great floor shows. But my goodness, that they came out, and it was just amazing. Just amazing.
Also, to paint your back, I want to know, did somebody help them? I like every piece of them is covered in paint and body paint and makeup, and that's just really hard to do. And the way that they thought about their rib cage and contouring the rib cage to the
I
abs, like the
know.
hands, people often overlook hands, and it like it irritates me. You'll see like this beautiful face and then like this rough ass hand, and
or it just doesn't match tone wise.
Yeah,
they're
they're
okay,
like,
now that you're nice and contoured,
and
and everything.
entertainers have to pose with their hands on their face. It's just what it is. It's a rule.
Yeah.
But no, it was just so fucking good, man. This is great.
Oh, excellent. Let's move to HoSo Teratoma, who was doing a horror look that was very personal to them. They, for those that don't know or didn't remember, they have gone through cancer treatments and chemo. And so the horror look was inspired by their past struggles in horror that they have actually lived through. And then part of their performance, which I kind of feel like we as an audience were ripped off to a certain extent, because we didn't get to get the full performance, in the sense that this was part of the performance was HoSo reading from their journal, their chemo journal. And I don't know, maybe that's something that was intentional. HoSo didn't want the audience to really hear it, but wanted the motion, the visual to be there. But I really thought that this was everything that HoSo did on this finale seemed to come from a very personal place. And for me, that really came through this look. Aman, what are your thoughts on HoSo's horror look?
Yeah, it's gripping. It really is. I mean, we all know that cancer is a bitch, right? Like it sucks. It's horrible. It kills so many of us every year. And to be a survivor, just it must be such a relief, but also something that's so scary. And they've talked about it on the show a bit. You know, I mean, you feel like a multitude of things, like grateful for your health, but also scared that it could just come right back. And it's something hard. It's hard to deal with. And I feel like I feel like the way that they really showed the emotion of, like, having the diary and then having sort of like the mutations of the face, which is exactly what cancer does to your cells. I feel like there's like a lot that she's trying to say in one picture, and like with the injections and the needles and all the poking and the prodding and the experimentation of it, because we don't know so much about cancer, even though we claim to. So I feel like I got all of the commentary that she was trying, that they were trying to go for. And yeah, it's gripping. It made me feel things that I don't necessarily want to feel, but that was the point, right? So
absolutely. Jeremy, what are your thoughts?
I mean, echoing everything that Aman said. If I have to look at this as like a makeup and like, creative standpoint, it's just, they're really great with these face masks. I've never seen people really do it like this. Like I've seen people wear like a different head or a styrofoam head, you know what I mean? But like this is great, and I feel like this is very much a HoSo type of thing now. Then like they have their own look, and like this is definitely going to inspire artists to do this too, which I think is really, really cool. I love that it's not like, it's like uneven and everything, so it's really like a growth is growing out of them, and I think that's great. If I have to be nitpicky at all, obviously the chemo diary was made to read from the stage. I get it. I would have liked that messed up a little bit, you know what I mean, like aged or worn down. But that's just if I have to nitpick anything, because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, and I think it's amazing that they even were what's the word? Not honest enough, but like
vulnerable.
Not brave, vulnerable. Yeah, be able to be that vulnerable on TV and share the story with everybody, and put themselves back in that situation is really, that's amazing.
Absolutely, I completely agree. All right, let us move to Saint. So Saint comes out as basically a demented tooth fairy, and I loved the concept. Did you like the execution, Jeremy?
Okay. So when Saint said this, I was like, oh bitch, yes, like I'm so excited, like I can't wait. And again, it looks great from here up. I love it. I love the hair. I love the teeth around here. That's great. I don't know So Saint does this thing with blood a lot, where when it looks like intestines, they'll do this. I don't know what it is. It's some type of like rope looking thing to make it
Mhm.
look like it's kind of like blood dripping or stuff. So I feel like that distracts me personally on the mouth. I would have rather that red be gone, and I would have rather just be dripping blood. It kind of looks like string. Maybe they're pulling teeth out. Um,
Oh.
but it distracted from me. I also think if you're gonna have blood and stuff like that, the outfit was so satin, shiny, silky. It just was too
There was
clean
no blood on the outfit.
for me. Yeah, if you're gonna
Yeah,
be ripping teeth out, you should be bloody
It'd be
girl.
I
smackers.
think the illusion is gone here. I think it looks very much like this person got fucked up in the mouth and then was in the process of cleaning everything up, as opposed
Mm.
to like it actually be happening in real time. Like actually you see the your gums and your teeth being pulled and extracted and just all sorts of just craziness. Yeah, it just felt like it felt a little disjointed. I did love the concept. I love what she was going for, and I thought it was the most like I think
Mhm.
like the whole mouth thing is really interesting. I just feel
Yeah.
like it stops just short of it actually like pulling me all the way into the fantasy.
You know what I'd
Yeah.
love to see, and this would just take it even more scarier, is what if you had like baby doll like heads that were like skulls and had like teeth missing out of it, like these are the collection of kids that she's had, like
Yeah,
something to take that story even further. But again,
absolutely.
the face is great. I really love. So one of my things with in the fantasy world, and a lot of people know this, people don't like black people being fairies. They don't, or
Mm.
elves or anything like that. They're like, oh, they're white in this made up world.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, why can't they be black? Like that doesn't make any fucking sense. And so I do love that they have like these like elven ears
Mhm.
but with the braids. I think that's great. It was just, there was a disconnect in the attire and then the makeup.
I really felt like if instead of having those pointed teeth, they instead had just gums and all the teeth were everywhere
Ooh.
else. And or like I kind of wish that they just had so many teeth, like they were dropping teeth all over the place. And
Yeah.
like and just like I don't know, like I think maybe the hands should be bloody or something that shows like are you ripping the teeth out of
Yeah.
people's mouths?
Right.
Like it's not that you're getting them from underneath the pillow. You were literally getting the teeth. So
Yeah.
that's the concept I wished that, she would have gone a little farther with. I loved the concept. I didn't like the execution as much. I'm sorry. But I like exactly what you said though, Jeremy. I love like in addition to like the ears, the braids, I love like the eye color. Like we think of like fairies and elves and such having like really piercing eyes. And the combination of the teeth and the eyes, I was like, this is actually really cool and interesting.
Mhm.
But I
It almost looks like she got worked on by a doctor.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
someone did experiments on them. It does, yeah. And there's no like, you think of a tooth fairy, you think of wings too. I don't.
Yeah.
Are there wings? Are those wings?
I don't know. That's what I can't
I
understand.
don't
It's
think
like
so.
it's like the tooth fairy's the victim here and not the pursuer. Like, you know what I mean? Like not the
Yeah, yeah.
Which can be
perpetuator,
fine. Just
which is
tell them
fine.
the story.
Exactly. All right. In our last horror look is Sigourney Beaver as the mad scientist. Aman, what were your thoughts on Sigourney's mad scientist look
I
here?
just keep hearing the ending credits theme song to Dexter's
I
Lab.
was
That's what I
just
just
gonna say
keep.
Dexter's
It's just
Lab.
the white coat and them black gloves. At first I was like, okay, sis, what are you doing? What is this? This is not what is this? And then she's mixing the potions and she drinks the potions. And then things get a little interesting. And then she rips off the coat, and then it's sort of just like, a corset that we've kind of already seen before. But then she starts ripping off her skin. And I was like, oh, okay. So you drank the potions and it made your skin fall off. That's kind of fun. Now what?
I so agree. I she came out in this outfit and I went, no, no, this is Halloween. And then the skin got pulled off and I went, okay. And then I went, okay, so that's paint on your face now. Okay. Like I just, I honestly felt like this was super disappointing and I had already been let down from the glamour look. So this I was just like, no, Sigourney. Man, I wish there could have
maybe
been
you're
more.
right, Jeremy. Maybe it was just a case of creative burnout, or maybe she
It
switched
might
some
have been.
things
I don't know.
around and used other finale looks for other challenges that might have also applied because she thought it might be better.
Yeah, I
And now
don't
this is what
know.
she's left with.
You know what I would have done with the well, first off, if you're so again, like I don't know how they filmed this. I don't know like the time limit they had.
Right.
But because like I don't know if they knew that they were going to be the glamour queen, you know what I mean, of this. So but like in my mind, like if there was time, because I do think that they have time off between, they can get these looks ready to go and stuff. I would have had been impaled with like huge, you know, those like paperweight diamonds or whatever, you get those plastic stones from Party City, but you know what I mean, like you can be like impaled with like maybe you were cut apart with all these diamonds and stuff because you were just addicted to the glamour. Like that could have been horror. But if you're gonna rip your, like if you're doing all these these experiments and you want to do this like rip your skin off, I think it would have been more effective if like her mask was actually liquid latex to her face. So when she had loose blood already in there, like pockets. So when you rip away the mask, then all of a sudden it rips the latex with it, and then you're bleeding already. So then it wouldn't kill the illusion of you like, oh, you have a clean face, magically it's bleeding now, you know, like and like the outfit, yeah, she's fucking sexy, she's hot, it's wonderful, it's lovely, but I didn't see turning into Mr. or you know, the Hyde version. There it was just like, I have black latex.
I would have done this instead of a mad scientist route. I would have done this as someone who's obsessed with like facelifts or something like that, where like
and you can latex it and just like
yes, like you're pulling and then you accidentally pull too much and it's just like that's like the concept. I think that would have worked more. We saw so many strong people come out who literally scare us or gave us feelings. And then she comes out in a lime green wig and sunglasses. And I'm like, oh,
it looked like I was watching horror? It looked like I was watching a show like at a you know, like I was at a drag show and I was watching a regular show, and that's not bad. It's just for a top 4 event, like you want it, like it's exactly that. You want it to be an event and an experience, and like Dali gave us an experience. We all felt it. You know what I mean?
Like I'd be throwing money up on the stage for this.
Yeah,
but it would be ones, and I'd be giving 20s for a few of the other queens here. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But all right, let us move to the last category, filth. Which what I love about the filth category is that yes, it's about the look, but it's so much more about the performance.
Hold on.
Oh no! All right, so why don't we start with Aman? Aman, what are your thoughts here on Dolly's filth look and performance?
Ooh, filthy, darling, filthy. Just
there we go.
Just nasty. No, what is their concept here again?
They were like a kind of like a it's not even like a clown. They were just basically, well, I guess they were kind of a clown, but they were like a performer who like you watch them and then like it's like the voyeur aspect of watching them as they get off, and then
they're like standing in front of like a window and like,
well, they wanted you to feel dirty. Like, I just watched this pervert go out in front of me and blow his load all over, and like,
so
I
it's like a
glitter load
situation.
yeah. And so he wanted people to be. It was like an immersive situation again, and he wanted you to be there.
Yeah, I did like the gag of like going for the crotch and then continuously just pulling out more handkerchiefs, more draws, more handkerchiefs, more draws. Like it never ends. And then they're masturbating in the curtains was dare I say it. Never mind.
I already hate clowns. Like, I'm deathly scared of clowns. I was once in New Orleans and overserved, and I went down this alley with some friends to get pizza because we were told that's the place to go. And there was a passed out clown on some garbage, and it scared the crap out of me. And I cried because I was drunk, so I was crying. We walk in, and they're like, "Oh no, that's Lucky. He's fine. Don't worry about it." And I was like, "I don't know if he's lucky." So then I walk outside and he was gone. And it scared me even more because I was like, he could be anywhere. He could be anywhere and I don't know where he is. And that really scared me. So the fact that I then have to, like, it's like, not only do I have to watch a clown, but I have to then watch like an intimate moment with a clown is like probably my worst fear. And it was gross. So effective in terms of performance for sure. And I actually like, Dolly is just so good with facial expressions of really creeping you out and making you feel weird and creeped and all that kind of stuff. So just props to Dolly here. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on self-pleasuring clowns?
Well, I think everyone should self-pleasure. It's healthy.
Absolutely.
But as far as the look, I do think it's a great look. But this was definitely more performance-based for the Filth look. And which is great. I don't really have anything negative to say because it's so different than what we've seen on this show. It's just great. Yeah.
You know what? When we think about this category had 4 very different interpretations of what filth is. And that's what I love the most about this top 4 in particular. It was this category. This category showed like this was, you're going to feel filthy. And next we're going to see HoSo, who is going to show how people have made her feel filthy. And then you have Saint, who is just going to be filthy. And then Sigourney, who is gross in that aspect. So let's move on to HoSo. So HoSo's concept here was to take all the things that in Western civilizations have put Asian people into a box, are the filthy racist things, the things that have made her feel less than, and that is a filthy aspect of culture and society. I love this. I was worried when HoSo was describing this in the boudoir that this was going to be a little too high concept. But I thought this was really effective. Jeremy, what were your thoughts on HoSo's performance and look here?
Are you going to me because I'm the Asian?
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Jeremy, you're Asian. What are your thoughts?
So this is a high concept. It really is. And it is very smart. But I think to say it, they dumbed it down in a way almost because like spelling out the words, everybody stereotypes, Asians eating dogs. Like it's just what it is. And I love that HoSo had no fear of bringing to attention like the realities of like how we are in the States, especially. And if this made you uncomfortable, then maybe you've like witnessed this and not realized it, or you've been a part of this and that's why it makes you feel uncomfortable. For me, I was like screaming like, fuck yeah, like someone said this, and like this is going to get people's attention. And it's crazy that like it has to take this for people to see it, you know what I mean? Or people to actually even like stop and ponder like, oh my God, I have made this joke or something like, or one of the things that, if she wanted to push it even further, she could have like painted herself yellow too. If she like really wanted to do that. So
yeah,
it was great though.
Yeah, the dog eating is just really oof. But I think the thing that had the most impact on me was the 2 front teeth, what she did, because like a lot of that's how sort of Asians were drawn a lot of the time, and like racist ass comic strips, and even in Disney movies like the Siamese cats with those 2 buck teeth, like. And that's something that like we all sort of like just were like experienced as kids, but didn't really think too much about it. And then you grow up and you get cultured and you meet different types of people. You meet Asians, you befriend people from different cultures and stereotypes, and you're like, oh, wow, that was kind of messed up. And I think I really related more to that only because of like the similar experiences with Black people and the big lip caricatures and all of that, and like the super duper dark skin. Like, so that was the part to me that really made me like give pause, and I was like, ooh, man, we can be really fucked up to each other. We really can be, and it needs to stop. So yeah, that was, yeah, she went there, or they went there. They really did.
Absolutely. And I think that especially after, people being once again with the Stop Asian Hate movement, if this
Mhm.
is more top of mind for people than it normally probably would have been, and so this is even more powerful because of that. But to Jeremy's point, it's like sad that it takes things like this for people to go, oh wait, am I privileged? Am I perpetuating these things? And
Mhm.
and of course it's a drag artist that does it.
yeah,
Because
Yep.
drag in itself is political. So the fact that
it's a
they did
political
this,
statement.
it's it's just I love it. Now if I'm going to like base it like because you have to compare the four, like if we have to
Mhm.
compare the four to Filth, it's like Dali already like Dali made me feel like, oh my god, I just watched this clown jack off. Like this,
Yeah.
I guess because I've not so much me because I am very white passing in my Asian family, but like I do like my brown skin Asian side of the family have to deal with this. And they so like to me this is just like what I've already grown up with. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I didn't feel filthy. I was like, this is just a reality I want people to see.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's move to Saint. Saint is eating cat shit.
Is that what that was?
Yeah. So it was a litter
Oh,
box and
Yeah.
was taking the cat shit out and eating that. But as you can tell, it is chocolate. And I think that for me is what the
Chocolate and
worst
like
part of
nut.
this was, is like it just was so obviously like chocolate syrup or something. And it was supposed to be,
it needed to be more grainy. She needed more granola girl.
yeah.
Well, there were part like
Needs
she
more
did
nuts
have
than that.
like melted bars in there, and so like I don't know. I was disgusted. I knew that it was chocolate in my mind. I knew it, but like I still I don't know. Ugh. God, like I just like
It's hard to make poop look like poop, though. It really
It's so
like
true.
to make poop look like poop on on actual camera is really really hard. Which is why like I would have just like when I saw her, I didn't even notice the cat. I had no clue. I like on and off. But again, it was just
Or the litter box?
I didn't notice any of it. And I was like, oh,
Oh.
she's a housewife. She's cleaning. Oh, she baked a cake. Oh, she's eating the cake. Is what I'm thinking. And I was like, oh, she's getting filthy with the cake. I had no clue. I wasn't paying attention. But I think that also kind of, says a little bit about the performance for me because
100%.
I didn't even get that. I was just like,
oh
girl,
my God. Now
that
she
cake is
baked the cake.
undercooked, girl.
That cake was that a chocolate lava cake? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, a few seasons ago, you have James Majesty like eating a lot of mustard and ketchup with a hot dog. Like, so I mean, and like really long, like foot long hot dog kind of thing. So like I get it, like how you could just think, oh, it's just a cake being messy, blah blah blah. But no, this was supposed to be cat poop.
Or
Out of
maybe
the
make
litter
the
box.
cat bigger or have
Yeah,
cats.
there's nothing bad about having a big pussy. So like, go
Or-
ahead for it.
Be like the stereotypical type crazy cat lady or something. Like I don't
Instead
know.
of a cleaner, like have somebody.
Yeah, eat the shit and the cat. Like I don't know.
Because actually,
like
that's a good point. Because as soon as I saw her cleaning, the first person I thought of was Bitch Pudding for this Filth challenge. And let's be honest, that's still the grossest thing I've seen on stage. But this is. Aman, I will spare you so that you can just enjoy that yourself when you go back and watch season 2.
she's great.
that was great. All right, so let's finish up the filth looks with Sigourney Beaver once again pulling things off of her face, and I think that for me was the reason why I was so disappointed. It was because I was like, you just basically did this. So it's like what you did was combine your first 2 looks to a certain extent.
No,
I don't know.
granted, it's certainly nasty. Like I'm having a reaction looking at it again. Like I don't know, maybe I'm just squeamish. Like ugh. Like what is she supposed to be? Like what's the disease here? Like she just got warts and droopy pussy skin. Is that what it is?
It was
like,
supposed to be boils or something like that, and I was just like, it just looks like slime or like clear slime or like corn syrup to me. Like that's what I was just like, oh, she's got corn syrup on her face.
Yeah, like nobody's boils are oozing like this. Like if you're if you got boils that ooze like that, then you should just accept defeat because I don't think there's nothing that you can do.
Oh my god.
You heard it here first, folks. You should just accept defeat if you have oozing boils like this.
Just end it all like this.
No, don't say that. No, but here's the thing. Like, I think she looks gorgeous. Like this to me was more glamorous than her glamour look. And I think the Boulay said basically the
Ugh.
same thing I just did. But like, oh, I don't know. I ultimately was just disappointed with Sigourney all
Yeah,
three
it
looks.
doesn't as freaked out as I am by it. It certainly is not at the same level as the others. No.
Jeremy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I agree. This to me is besides the boils and everything, but like even in Dragula standards, this to me is Dragula glamour. And like she does look stunning, minus
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's popping zits and stuff, but she looks fucking beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is when you do something like boils and then make them the color of your skin, it doesn't, you need to do something or put some makeup around it to make it pop even more. And because you're on stage and she's so fair skinned, she glows.
Yeah.
So you need to add more texture to that. I would have taken a note out of like HoSo's book. And like, yes, that's a beautiful wig. I'm sure you paid lots of money for it to be styled, but you want this $100,000. I would have put like a latex piece coming off the side and have bigger bulbous boils here. And you want to be gross, pop one of those bitches and let that ooze out on you. And you know what I mean? Like look like you're mutating. And I think that would have been a lot better. It's just
Yeah. I would have made it gangrenous, like make it like literally black. I would have like pop it and just have black come out. Like that to me would have been like a little bit more contrast. It would have, I don't know. I think that would have
I
been more
also
effective.
wonder how much this one would have translated to, like, as you know, if you're just in the audience for this, because obviously with the camera and all the zooming up, it's really easy for us to get the small details. But if I'm one of the Boulay brothers and I'm sitting across the auditorium, I don't know if this is as creepy. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
it registers the same way. The
Well, that's what
same
I'm
thing with Saint as well. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like we can tell, yeah, that's cat shit, but like in order for me to be really disgusted by it, I feel like I need to be up close in your face seeing you eat it.
Actually,
well,
to be honest, I thought the opposite. I was like, they probably were more disgusted because they could see that it's not chocolate from the stage versus so close up. I was like, oh, chocolate syrup, or in Jeremy's case, a chocolate lava cake.
yeah. Well, and this goes to like again, this goes back to makeup. You're white, you have white boils, you have clear gel. Like so you're just it's all white.
And you're wearing a gold nude kind of outfit. And so and I actually thought, I wonder if this is yellow, but because of the lighting and the dress, it looks clear. Or like, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
don't know. But I just think, unfortunately, I don't think, she was thinking about lighting and all that kind of stuff. But.
Right.
And when I was there for this, I think they stand like on the sides, the Boulay brothers. I know I could watch them from the side while they do their, like I was never in front of them while they did this. I could watch it from the side. They also record the runway walks, and they're long, which y'all see is obviously cut down, but they're really long. But they'll record it, and then you could rewatch it on it like an iPad and review everything.
Gotcha.
They don't actually walk in front of you. So like like on an iPad, I wouldn't be able to see this because it's not edited. You know what I mean? So I'd been like, "What the fuck is this?" but she clearly was doing this to like build up because she ripped off her skin. She's probably like, "Oh shit, I have stuff on here now. Let's just add the boils to it so it builds up."
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
So those were the final looks. Overall, I liked everything pretty much all together. I was disappointed with Sigourney, but again, I think Sigourney looked beautiful. In at least two of the looks, I didn't care for the second one, as we know.
You know what, Sigourney has a great look. She knows her brand. She knows what it works. In a competition setting where you have to be able to show variety of different looks, I think that was her downfall because everything was so similar because she is so secure and great at what she does and knows her look. That I think that was the downfall for this. Yeah.
So we get to the crowning, and Dali is crowned the season 4 winner. How do you both feel about that? And we'll start with Jeremy.
So my Dali was my front runner in the top, and I was like, no, they're gonna win. I think they're gonna win. So I do think the right person won. If there had to be a second, I would pick HoSo in the top 4 situation. It's then Saint than Sigourney, but I think it's well deserved, and I think the story that Dolly's been through a lot, and I don't know if people know like their personal story, but Dolly has been through so much in life, and to see that they've never given up, and they're just a great person and like super kind and just generous and just, I don't know, just a great heart. And to see them excel is just really, I'm truly happy for them.
I'm also I love seeing the metamorphosis of their drag and how their aesthetic has changed and been influenced by their surroundings and things that they've experienced. Um, when they were on season 2, there was a very different Dolly. There was a
Mhm.
very different drag aesthetic. And then with Resurrection, we started to kind of see, oh, okay, this is the Dolly that is, has quote unquote Dragula in their bones. And then we see this Dolly all
Mm.
season long was super consistent. And at times predictable, whether it was with makeup or performance, but was always putting their best foot forward in the competition. And so I agree with, I think that the best person won. I would have been happy with HoSo winning, especially given how wonderful they did in the final episode. And I would have been fine with Saint winning, but I have to say, if Sigourney had taken the crown, I would have been very confused after this performance.
I also think that it one of my biggest thing that irritates me in this community is like, oh, HoSo, and a lot of people said this, you shouldn't be in the top because you're inexperienced. Well, how else do you expect anybody to get experience if you don't open the door and give them
Right.
experience? And it
Mhm.
really irritates me because
Yeah.
like if they're great at what they do, their age shouldn't like and what I love, this isn't Drag Race. They're not looking for a next RuPaul. No one's ever gonna be RuPaul. That's just what it is. You'll have
Right.
somebody like Bianca who might be close, but no one's ever gonna be that. Like there'll
Right.
only be one
Mhm.
RuPaul. And the Brule brothers specifically said, we don't want anybody to fill our shoes. We just want people to hang out with us and
And party.
want to spread our message, basically.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there is no age or experience for that, and they want to give them that experience. So I think people need to take that out of their out of their
Totally.
like excuse list. I was really worried for Dolly too in the beginning because Dolly has a color palette that they like to use, which are
Mhm.
like the earth tones and browns and all that. And it was kind of the same that we saw for the very first few looks, and then it just there's like a switch all of a sudden. And then like I said in the very beginning of this, is that it's just really cool to see them evolve into a secure and just confident person. It was nice to see that.
I love. All
No,
right.
I agree. I
Oh,
mean,
go
I
ahead,
obviously
Mama. Yeah.
no, yeah, I obviously don't have like the same level of Dolly experience as the two of you do. So she was, or they were sort of a I keep fucking these fucking pronouns up. It's pissing me off. Um,
You correct and move on,
yeah. I was they were sort of a excuse me, a dark horse for me. I wasn't really keeping that much of an eye on Dolly until maybe like midway through because I was just so enraptured with like the Bitter Betty versus Jay Jolie and the Mary Cherryness of it all. I was like over there just watching that shit go down, and then the next thing I know, I'm like, oh, Dolly, okay, all right, well, congratulations, bitch. So yeah, but I agree. I think that the right person won. I think that the finale was strong. So
So now that we have covered the finale, let's do kind of a rapid fire round. So thinking about the entirety of the season, what was your favorite, challenge or theme that they had to do?
I think the movie one was really good. I enjoyed
Oh
that where they had to
God.
star in their own thing. That was probably my favorite. Was that also the extermination challenge when they were sucked into like the
Yes, the
latex?
latex. Yes.
Oh my god, like how did they breathe? I don't understand how they did that safely. The
That to me
waivers for this show
was
must
the
be some
scariest.
shit.
That's
Yeah.
what I said. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Also, can we talk about how this acting challenge? Literally, I have to agree with you on this. So the acting and the clown challenges were my favorite. Clown because of like their artistic vision. I just loved seeing that. I just love clowns. I know you don't, Beth, but it was cool to see all the takes. But I have to say, I love this acting challenge. And in the beginning of the acting, I was just like, oh. Like, this is really good. I'm not getting a bunch of yes, queen, yes, house bomber down boots, yes. Grrr. Like, I'm not getting all that bullshit. An acting challenge, you know what I mean? Or like
Yep.
regurgitated season quotes. Like, I'm not getting that. I'm getting a real scene. And that's probably a testament to Peaches Christ, who is a great actress and puts on
Shout out to
amazing
Peaches.
shows. Yeah, being helping them. But it was great. Like, I was like, oh, I actually want to watch this. But
I
that
was so surprised the Boulets didn't like it. The Boulets were like, nah,
Yeah,
they didn't
were,
really do
yeah.
it justice. And I was like,
I will
did
say,
we
I
watch
do
the
think
same
there's.
thing?
Well, I did feel like at a certain point there was just at the very end, it was just screaming. It was
Yeah,
like, and I was
was
just
true.
like, ugh. But in the beginning, like HoSo and then, Dali and Saint as the moms was just like, oh, y'all bitches are acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially where they were rehearsing with like their different characters and
Yeah, what do you
like,
mean?
what do you mean? Yeah. I was like,
It was
oh
like
no.
Rocco's Modern Life, the frogs.
The big heads or whatever
Yeah,
they
the
are.
big
Yeah.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right. Scariest extermination challenge, is it the latex?
Oh, yeah, latex is
I
pretty
don't know how they
bad.
breathed either.
I don't know how they. Yeah, I don't.
That's
That's
what I was
just
wondering. I was like, there has to be holes, right? There has to be.
yeah. There's maybe it's like thinner than we think. Maybe they can actually breathe through the fabric, but it just still feels smothering. I don't know. It's very
Yeah.
strange.
I would have hated that.
That was the
I
only one
mean,
that I
the
was
I would
like,
have.
that was probably the one that I had the most visceral reaction to. I mean, the bugs. I mean, I'm sure that's
I mean, the
uncomfortable, but I feel like
cockroaches. That's just being in New York City.
that's
or Texas because it's humid and they love it. Actually, we have like the
the shock
grasshopper plagues.
therapy. The shock therapy one seemed a little crazy. I was interested in like how they judged that. Like, how do you determine who did better in that than the others?
Yeah.
Like, is it just the amount of times that someone was able to shock somebody else, and that's how you do it? Like, but
I think
that
they
one
kind
was
of
kind
have
of fun.
an idea of who they want to send home already.
I think
Okay.
that episode was pretty clear. Mary was
Yeah, I
going
mean, yeah, at
home.
that point, yeah,
And the
Mary
thing
was
is like not a
on
lot of
her
people
merry
ended up
way.
shocking her, which is like so funny. They really, I think in my opinion, rightfully so, kind of came for Mary and the way that Mary reacted and acted in that challenge. But then it ended up being like they kind of just ended up shocking each other. Like Sigourney didn't even shock Mary, and Jade kept going after Betty. Like, I mean, so it just, I don't know. It was an interesting elimination. I agree with you, Amon. It's hard to know. But I think
Yeah.
that was a pretty clear cut elimination.
I'm glad that
Favorite
Bitter Betty and
Jade.
Jade are made up because it was entertaining a little bit, but it got really nasty, and I was like, "Oof,
Yeah, what do you
this is
guys
kind of
think
intense."
about Jade using the key on to put Bitter Betty in the bottom of
I
the
loved it.
haunted show? I did too. She played the game. I'm
It's a
here for the
game.
game.
She did.
It's a game, and
She
if you
played the
want to
game.
play, yeah. And she already knew she was safe. So if I knew I was safe, why the fuck would I waste that? Like, get your ass out of here.
Betty
Obviously,
literally was like, the only reason why you're safe is because I'm in the bottom. And I'm like,
She's
no,
like,
girl,
"That's
not
no.
how it
at
works."
all, at
No.
all.
No,
But
Betty.
but like that's part of the game, and people might hate on people for playing that, but that's part of the game. Like when you're put in that
No,
situation,
I
I
love it.
also, yeah, I would do that too. People that haven't been in this type of situation don't know what it weighs on their mental health. And if I had to get rid of somebody that was like doing that to me, I would get rid of them in a heartbeat. Like, I just don't want to stress about you. Get out. Like, that's just
Hmm.
what it is. And
Hmm.
I thought Jade was so. I fucking love Jade. I've been friends with Jade, and I'm friends with Betty as well. And I reached out to Jade after this, and I was just let them know that like they're loved and they have friends, because I think it was really brave that they came out and talked about how they're bipolar and these are the issues and stuff that they have to deal with, and a lot of people don't talk about that. And then when you're in this setting and there's cameras in front of you, people are so quick to make a meme or say this, that, and the other, and they don't stop and they don't listen and they hear what they want to hear. So then people
Hmm.
that are having to deal with these issues are never heard and then have breakdowns or worse. And so I think Jade, I
And then
applaud
everybody's
her for
all of a
being so
sudden
strong.
like super like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that they freaked out like that." And it's like, "Well, bitch,
Yeah,
like
it
y'all,
like
you wounded them up to that point, and now you're acting
literally.
like they're the crazy one."
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. And then it
so.
all came down to, in the end, a miscommunication, they misheard, which is sad
Hmm.
because then Jade had to go through all of that and had to
Mm-hmm.
deal with that mentally. And she didn't have to if you just shut up and listen.
I think that that's ultimately one thing that I loved about Jade this season is that, first of all, Jade was not afraid to put down and throw. I mean, not put down, but throw down. Although there
Yeah.
were put downs there too, but she was not afraid to throw down. But at the same time, take ownership of the things that she messed up on. And I'm
Mhm.
here for that. I don't give a shit if you're the biggest bitch in the room, but if you take ownership of the things that you do and say to hurt other people, and like take ownership of that.
Yeah.
That's a real bitch right there.
Yeah.
I don't care if, like, I have a problem with the people who are like, I'm going to be a bitch to you because I'm a bitch. And I'm like, no, that's not taking
Yeah.
ownership. That's not taking
Yeah.
ownership over hurting somebody. If you go out of your way to say, I was a bitch in that moment and I recognize now the error of my ways and I'm really apologize to you about what I did and how I made you feel, that's an apology and that's a real bitch. And I'm
Yeah.
here for that. Also, Jeremy, when you were explaining all that, I couldn't help but look at Toxel behind you and like that little, like your little Pokemon.
Yeah.
It just, you were like, if someone's really draining my energy, and I just see Toxel like.
Just-
So if you guys are watching the video, you'll see what I'm talking about.
He's just not entertained.
What other pieces of the show do you guys want to quickly discuss before we wrap up this finale podcast for Dragula? Is there anything drama-wise, story-wise, character-wise?
Not
Jeremy,
I was most concerned with the whole like Mary Cherry, J. Jolie, all that stuff, Bitter Betty stuff. So I think I kind of got that out now. Yeah.
Yeah. I found it really uncomfortable to watch like queer, like cis men and stuff attack Sigourney throughout most of the season. I found it really I have a bunch of like women, cis women, you know, AFAB women that perform, you know what I mean, and have to constantly deal with this, or being questioned if they're good enough, or if it's, you know, they're an artist, or they, you know, they have, you know, most have natural curves, so like they have a cheat into it, is what a lot of people say. And it was really uncomfortable to watch, and that many times made me want to be like, girl, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
yeah,
like, quit judging other people when you are always being judged too. Like, you know what it feels like. So I hope that this opened a lot of people's eyes to see that women do drag, and they do it damn good.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Your gender identity has nothing to do with how good you can be as an artist in the drag world. And women doing drag is political in its own way. It's absolutely a commentary on, you know, feminism and, you know, the boxes that society puts women through, and as well at intersectionality. Absolutely. There's a lot of different things there. And I completely agree with you, Jeremy. There were times I was fired up. I was like, yeah. And you know what? Good for Sigourney, because like she stood up for herself and she knew when to just absolutely shut them down by not having to say anything either. And I think that just got underneath their skin even more, which was like, oh, normally she's coming back at me, and now she's just going, "You're right, yeah." And I can tell that. And I was just like, "Yeah, you better go." I love when people play that game.
Well, no matter what she would say, they would be mad. And then she's a bitch, and not like a yes bitch, but like a fucking bitch. You know what I mean? And so she wasn't gonna win anyways. Now, obviously, things came out in the end of the reunion where maybe we're not seeing a fuller picture either, but a lot of it does, and that is a very real issue with women doing drag. And when I for me personally, when I watched the show, I never saw a woman up there, or you know, a trans woman up there. I saw artists.
Right.
And it never came to my mind like, oh, they're a woman doing drag. It was just like, all right, let me see what they're gonna put on the stage. And that's ultimately what we all should be doing, because it's an art form.
Well, you know why you do that? It's because the story isn't, here's a cis woman contestant on the show, like Drag Race would do. Drag Race would be like, look at how awesome we are. You're trans. Keep telling people you're trans. And like, we're gonna talk about it. And like, it's like, what you're doing is you're trying to say, hey, look at this, rather than like actually get to know the person as an artist. You're fitting that person and limiting what they can and can't do as a performer, or what they can and cannot do in terms of representation. And it's actually a backstep when you do that kind of thing. And Dragula never once, like, I never once heard the Boulet brothers, and maybe they did on what we didn't see. I never once heard them ever say something like, well, now let's consider what it's like for Sigourney as a woman, because she would have an advantage, or how, what, you know, her talent, we have to judge it differently. Like, I never got that. I never heard them ever say, like, what does it mean to be a woman in this competition? Like, there's never those kind of like baiting questions in order.
It's like, bitch, what do you think it means? Like,
yeah.
And they referred to Sigourney every time as a queen. You're the glamour queen. And it was just like, exactly, that's what it should be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very good.
That's all.
All right. Final thoughts on the season. Yay, nay.
Horrible. No, it was great.
Yay for me. I will definitely be checking out for season 5. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, we will definitely have to see if we can get back together for season 5 whenever that ends up happening. I want to thank you both so much for joining me. I forgot to do this the last time, so we're going to make sure we do it this time. Jeremy, where can people find you and what are you up to?
At home, because we're still in a pandemic.
Oh, girl. Don't I know it? Jeremy and I live like a mile away from each other, and I'm like, hey, girl, you stay in your apartment, I'll stay in mine. We'll play video games together.
You can find me everywhere: Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. It's all just Jeremy, Jaremi. Super simple. Yeah.
Great. And Aman, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
You can find me at Amon Adwin on all platforms. Got all the drag race stuff about to occur. Still got my Glee podcast. Check out the Choir Room. I am covering season 2 of Euphoria with Grace Leader, so check that out as well. So yeah, just all sorts of shenanigans as usual. You can find.
Very cool. Jeremy, anything coming up on your Twitch channels or anything like that that people should be aware of?
No.
Okay. So don't tune in. No, just kidding. Jeremy's always doing awesome stuff on his Twitch channel. So.
Yeah, no. We have plans, but nothing I can announce right now. So
that's fine. Well, we'll have to stay tuned, and you can stay tuned by following Jeremy at Just Jeremy on all platforms. And I'm Beth Dixon. You can follow me at AugustaWind11 on all platforms, including my Twitch channel. I'm also part of Team Level Up that Jeremy started with Angina. So yeah, you can catch us on our Twitch channels, and Aman also streams as well. Thank you to Scott St. Pierre behind the scenes, and thank you to all of our patrons. Remember that it is the beginning of a new month, so it is a perfect time to become a patron so you get the full month's benefits of joining. So you can do that at patreon.com/RHAP. You can also go to Rob has a website to get all the details there as well. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will catch you hopefully next season. Goodbye, uglies.
Bye.